I'm going to run you through the installation and use of the Fake News Fitness plugin. This is Bram Moranis from Fake News Fitness, and thank you for giving this a try. If you go to github.com/bmoranis/fake news, you get to this page and you can click clone or download and download zip. That's going to put a zip file in wherever you keep your zip files, and then you can open it. And once you open it, it's unzipped, and this is a folder and it's got all the files. These are the files for a Chrome extension. So now I've got to install that extension. You can get to extensions by going over here and saying settings and then extensions. Because we've downloaded it, we have to be in developer mode, and this means that whenever you open your computer, it's going to say, do you want to be in developer mode or not? And while you're using this extension, you're going to want to be. We're going to load an unpacked extension, and I know I put it in downloads, so that's where I'm going to look for it. And now it's loaded. So now it's going to work, and you're going to see this little FN button in the top right hand corner, and that lets you know you're there. So what does that actually mean? Before we use this tool, we need to be logged into the Fake News website, which is fakenewsfitness.org. Now you already have an account there, and all the accounts have the same password, which your teacher can tell you, and all the accounts are part of the same group number, which your teacher can tell you. So I'm going to now, because I'm logged in, go to a site that I'm going to check, and just for the sake of argument, I'm going to martinlutherking.org, because some people have heard that if you go to a .com or a .org, it means you can really trust the site. In this case, not so much. So should I trust this or not? Well, there are things I can tell without knowing a whole lot about the web about why I might not want to trust it, but let's use the form to guide our inquiry. If I don't move this over here, if I just go like this, it's going to be an empty form, which means it's not going to give me a whole lot of information. But if I have, I'm going to just cancel this now. If I click check page, then it fills in a lot of information for me. And the question, of course, is what do these things mean? Now, group ID, I'm working with a class now that has group ID 73. Email address, you'd put whatever your email address is that is part of your school. If you don't have both of these things, it won't work. Page URL, martinlutherking.org, well, that is the page URL. Page title. This is something that is in the HTML of the page. If I were to actually view the page source, you see it right here. You don't get to see it when you're looking at the page, but any page that takes itself seriously is going to have the title of that particular page and not of the whole site in that title tag. So this is reading it for us. I don't even have to look. Now this says there's no H1 title tag found. That means that if I were to do a search on this page and look for an H1 tag, there'd be none. Now H1s are setting the heading 1. It's like the top of any report you might write. And if a page doesn't have an H1 tag, it means it isn't really written to be taken seriously. So this already tells me not to trust it so much. When you save these things, it says that it saves this one rather than this one. But right now we have a little glitch, and it's actually saving this one rather than this one. So whichever one you think is the actual title of this page, you want to put here. So right now I'm going to grab this and stick it here. That's Control A, Control C, Control V. If you don't do that, it's always going to say no H1 title when you save it, and that's a bad thing. Now, the domain name is martinlutherking.org. The top level domain is org, and org tells us that this is a site for people who care about advocating for something. That's different than a site that's trying to make money. That's different than a site that's trying to have a neutral position towards a topic. Orgs are not neutral, and they don't make money necessarily. URL parameters. Sometimes you might have something like this, and it has a whole lot of code. Somebody wants to be paid money for the fact that you clicked to get here. So when you see URL parameters, there might be some click tracking, and it tells you that people want to get as many people to the page as possible because it makes somebody money, which means it's less likely to be valuable information. But there's no parameters here, so it's just telling you that. Posted or modified date. Some pages you can find out what date they're modified from the code itself, which this has managed to do. This page was last edited on January 18th, 2015. Some pages the code can't tell you, and you have to look around the page to see if there's a date somewhere. And then some pages you can't find that either, and the way that you have to find it is you have to go and Google and go to Google Advanced Searching. These are links that show up on the page, and these are only showing links that are embedded in text. So not links that are just all over the page, but links that are in text somewhere. What you want to do is, if one of these links seems to be supporting the claim or the argument of your page, like the page is saying something and you want to know about it, then you want to leave that here. But if this pulls a whole bunch of links up, you can just remove those links. So I'm going to just remove both of these links here. Now if I find another link that I want to put in, I can put it here. So if this is historical writings, I can copy this link address and stick that here and say that, well, that's one of the things that they are trying to tell me about. But I have to actually then go and visit that link to see if it actually existed, and for all I know it doesn't. Let's just take a look here just to see, and it doesn't. So that wouldn't be a good link for me to include here. How about this one? Is this a good link to include? Yes. Anyway, now about link is, most websites have a link that says about this site. There's a menu on top and it says that. This does not, which makes it very suspect. But we do know that it's hosted by Stormfront. And Stormfront doesn't have an about link either, but they do have this description of what they are. So I'm going to use this as the about link. So you see it didn't find one, but I put one in. Now who is lookup? This is saying who actually pays for this page, and this tells us who pays for this website to exist, this fellow named Don Black from Stormfront. If nothing was written here, you'd have to go for yourself and look there, and the place to go is ICANN, who is icann.org, and that's going to be able to give us the same kind of information. And so if I say martinlutherking.org and it looks it up, and then I get the same information as I had before. So again, if it doesn't find this on its own, it's going to give me a box where I can go and copy and paste it. It turns out it's significant that Don Black and Stormfront own this page. But you'd only know that if you then went and Googled who Don Black is. And it would tell you that he is a white nationalist and a grand wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, which suddenly makes you really mistrust what they might have to say about Martin Luther King. So at this point, we're pretty sure that we totally mistrust this site as a reference for Martin Luther King, and we click full mistrust. If you had some doubts and you thought maybe he has some good things to say, you'd click there. But we fully mistrust this. Now that's normally all you'd have to do, but because we want to be able to say our reasons for doing things, instead of submitting, we're going to go to page 2. Now page 2 says About Us Summary. What did we discover when we went to the About Us summary? Well, remember that was Stormfront. This is who we are. So we copy that and put that here. And now if somebody goes and looks at your review, they'll know, what did you find out? Trust markers. What made us trust this site? Domain name said Martin Luther King, and that's what I cared about. Also was a .org, which I heard was better than other top-level domains. But that's actually not true. Top .orgs are not better, but I'm just writing something here. But the mistrust markers, there were many of them. There was no H1 tag, so not serious. No About Us page, hosted by a biased hate group that would not have a neutral view of Martin Luther King. Links went nowhere. And then for the assessment, we can say amazing that a site called martinlutherking.org could even exist as a KKK site. Now, questions. This is where you ask questions that other people who go and find the thing that you wrote might want to answer, because what you really want is to get comments, and what I'm going to show you later is how you can put comments and have comment streams for the things that you post. And if you don't ask any questions, you're unlikely to get those comments, and so you don't get that fun interaction with other students in the class. So the big question that comes to me is, why doesn't MLK's family sue these people and get this site off the internet? And so we say submit all data now, because we filled out everything. And you don't have to fill out everything. You may not have time to. The more you fill out, the more likely you're going to get people responding to you. So submit all data. And you have to wait a little bit. Give a little time, and then it says submit successful. Well, what happens next? You're going to get a message in your email that says you just submitted something. It's going to tell you the title of the thing that you submitted. And also anybody else who's in the group is going to get that submission. So as soon as you press that, people can go to your website, to this website, and visit your work. You want to first go to the Groups tab and click on your group, and then you get to see, well, who else has put stuff up? You could now go and comment on somebody else's thing. The very bottom would be this box where you could have a subject and then a comment, and then the person who posted it would get a notification that you commented and a link where they could then go and reply to your comment. And so that's how we get to start having a good conversation about all this. Now also you have your own name up here, and when you visit your account page, you see all the things that you've made and all the comments that you've made. So I'm an administrator and I see a whole lot of fancy stuff. I'm now going to masquerade as a student so you can see what the site looks like to her. So if you were her and you clicked on groups, you'd see this. And then you'd see that we have all of the other students in the class, so I can go and see what they've written. And you also have your teacher and me to see what we've written. And of course no other students in the class have written anything, so there's not much point in going to their page. So I think that's everything that you need to know. Good luck. And oh, one more thing. Let's imagine that you're trying to make a page and something goes wrong. In that case, there's this link here that says add page check directly, not from form, and when you click that, it allows you to fill one out here. That means you have to go back and forth from one tab to another, so that's a little bit more irritating, and it also doesn't pre-fill all these values like that did. But this is just in an emergency if you have an assignment you have to complete, and for whatever reason the form is not loading. Okay, good luck.